NFL Week 14, Steelers, Ravens. Both teams are 6-6, and the AFC North lead is on the line. Welcome into the Arthur Moats Experience. My name is Mark Bergin, getting you ready for this AFC North rivalry, and let's get right into it. It's a lot about whether Steelers fans want to see Mike Tomlin go or if they'd fire him. The fact of the matter is that this team is still atop the division, so even if you want the Steelers to move on from Mike Tomlin, that's not going to happen until the offseason. So we can get into the discussion of after 19 years, should it be time? This team is still atop the AFC North, believe it or not, and I know a lot of people are saying, well, enough is enough, and offensively it's just not good enough coming off an embarrassing blowout loss to the Buffalo Bills in which the Steelers offense mustered 7 points. The Bills offense was on the field for nearly 42 minutes in the game. And the Steelers are looking for answers. And it doesn't get any easier this week because last week you were going up against the top team in the NFL in rushing. Well, Baltimore with Derrick Henry, with Lamar Jackson, the number 5 team in the NFL in rushing. And so the Steelers have their work cut out for them. And it's not going to be any easier considering Derek Carman's going to be out again. Some sort of lingering knee issue. We don't really know the extent of it. But coming off a week without Derek Carman, and the Steelers are much better when Harmon plays because they give up 4.6 yards per carry. They've given up 5 rushing touchdowns with Harmon off of the field. In the 3 games without Harmon, the Steelers have allowed a combined 548 yards rushing. They're coming off a game. Again, the defense stuck out on the field for long, long stretches. Against Buffalo, the Bills' 249 yards against the Steelers was the most a Steelers team has allowed in Pittsburgh since 1975, when a player by the name of O.J. Simpson was playing for the Buffalo Bills. It had been a long, long time. And so how do you improve upon that considering you struggled with that a week ago and we know what Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry can do? A Ravens team where the last time the Ravens played the Steelers, the Ravens ran the ball 13 consecutive times in a playoff game en route to a touchdown, and there was nothing Pittsburgh could do to stop it. So if Harmon's out again, which he will be, how you stop the Ravens' rushing attack is going to be huge, let alone the 2 tight ends that they have, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely on the outside, Bateman, and Zay Flowers. It's a tough offense. And short of Baltimore's embarrassing blowout loss to the Cincinnati Bengals, the Ravens are trending upwards, whereas the Steelers are trending downwards. Before that Bengals loss, the Ravens had won 5 consecutive games, whereas the Steelers have lost 2 straight, 3 of their last 4, and 5 of their last 7. Questionable going into Sunday's game. Aaron Rodgers, he will play. He just turned 42 at the time of this recording today on Tuesday, December the 2nd. I've got some stats about Rodgers, but let me get to a few of the other injuries. Patrick Queen is questionable with a glute injury, and then James Pierre in the concussion protocol. Now with Pierre, hopefully the Steelers can get him back because Asante Samuel now goes from the practice squad to the active roster. You got Brandon Eccles there as well because the Steelers released Darius Slay. And I want this to be a lesson with the Steelers. This is now, consecutive seasons or 2 out of 3 seasons where they've gotten an NFC cornerback and it hasn't worked out in Pittsburgh. So Slay at the age of 35, trying to hang on. He wants to sign with another team. This is likely his final season. I don't know who else is going to want him if there's a potential fit there now that the Steelers have gotten rid of Slay. But this also happened with respect to Patrick Peterson towards the end of his career, trying to hang on for one more paycheck. And the Steelers, even though they're paying Slay $10 million this year, just released him. They're going to roll with Eccles, Joey Porter Jr., Asante Samuel Jr. as well. And Slay was a healthy scratch. Slay was struggling to get snaps. And so if he's struggling to get snaps as a cornerback at this phase in his career, he's not going to contribute to special teams. And the Steelers just outright release him. Now the Steelers sign Adam Thielen today. So the Steelers not only have the oldest quarterback with Aaron Rodgers at the age of 42. Happy birthday, Aaron Rodgers. Now the NFL's oldest receiver as well in Adam Thielen at the age of 35 in his 12th season. He had a 1,000-yard season 2 years back with a Carolina Panthers team that wasn't very good 2 years ago. So to try to act like this could be wide receiver 2 when we haven't seen it from whether it's Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who I believe still on the practice squad, and Calvin Austin III, and Roman Wilson, and trying to get this offense going. Who's wide receiver 2? They now have Adam Thielen, who's a respected veteran. This will also be his final season in the NFL, but I don't expect this to have major impact. Thielen struggling to have a role, only 8 pass catches for 69 yards this season in 11 games for the Vikings. And the Vikings, with Jordan Addison coming back, being reinstated, and then Justin Jefferson, they're going to get the bulk of the targets in Minnesota. And so that's how Thielen winds up on Pittsburgh. Some familiarity with Rodgers and Thielen. Now, there's some stats about Rodgers that I found. ESPN's Ben Solak had a great article about how Rodgers is getting the ball out quick, which is no secret. He doesn't want to get hit anymore. 2/3 of Rodgers' passing yards have come after the catch. That is second to only A.J. Feely in 2011 in the past 15 years. So that's a sample size of 713 quarterbacks of how quickly Rodgers is getting the ball out. Again, more than 66% of Rodgers' passing yards have come after the catch. That isn't very sustainable. Rodgers, 5.7 air yards per attempt, 703 out of those 713 quarterbacks. They're not throwing over the middle. They didn't have, is it a completion beyond 15 or 20 yards in the entire month of November? Now remember, Rodgers didn't play in the game against the Chicago Bears. But man, this offense is very broken right now. And we could say what we want about defensively and all of the rushing yards allowed to Buffalo, but when your defense is out on the field for nearly 42 minutes out of a 60-minute game when it comes to time of possession, that is not a recipe for success. Steelers passing attack, 24th in the league, just 187.8 yards per game. DK Metcalf's got to try to get going. They've been pressing him, putting safety help over the top. He leads the team, 605 receiving yards, 5 receiving touchdowns, but averaging a career low 50.4 yards per game. So maybe Thielen can help with this. We'll see if he has any gas left in the tank. I am not optimistic about that. That's not a knock on Adam Thielen with what he's accomplished in his career, but it's just where the Steelers are at this standpoint. And what they did with a much younger receiver in Mike Williams a year ago, acquiring him midseason, and he had one big moment, the touchdown catch against Washington. I don't know if you can really have high expectations for Adam Thielen. Again, what I'd like to see, and I said this in the postgame with Arthur and Tanisha, Pat Freiermuth is making $12.1 million average annual salary for the 2025 season. The fact that both Darnell Washington, I'm fine with him getting more snaps, but Jonnu Smith getting more snaps than Freiermuth. Freiermuth with 0 targets. That cannot happen. Get Pat Freiermuth involved in this offense. Make him part of the game plan. He's demonstrated the ability to win combat catches as well. It's something the Steelers absolutely need to incorporate into their offense. Absolutely need to incorporate into their offense. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball and the rushing yards allowed. And this is something I put out there in asking the question of whether TJ Watt was regressing at this point in his career. Again, Ben Solak, ESPN, I encourage you to go read his story about the panic level when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Watt's explosiveness has tailed off through the 2024 season before his injury, and it's dropping off again. So his get-off, that's how quickly he moves off the snap. In 2022, it was 0.75 seconds. In 2023, it was 0.79. Last season, 0.83. It is now 0.87 this season. So when you're talking about a full tenth of a second of speed when it comes to coming off the edge, when it comes to TJ Watt, he's delivered a pressure rate below 10% in each of the past 2 seasons. That's got to improve. And it's the simple compare contrast of TJ Watt got the huge contract extension. The average annual salary topped that of Myles Garrett. TJ Watt has 7 sacks this season. Garrett has 19. I'm just comparing them when it comes to what they're making in terms of tops at their respective positions as edge rushers. And something that teams are deliberately doing, if you want to argue on Watt's behalf, is this. In 9 of the 12 games the Steelers have played this season, quarterbacks have gotten the ball out quicker than their seasonal average. We saw it again last week with Josh Allen. So they know the script, they know the game plan that the Steelers pass rush is going to get there. Let's get it out quick, and let's go after some of the DBs and the challenges that the Steelers have had in the secondary and the back half of the defense. So if you want to argue on behalf of Watt, that's something. But the explosiveness Watt's had, you see it with your own eyes. And statistically, that's something that's measured as well. In terms of a prediction for the game, with just the way these two teams are headed, in Baltimore, I do expect the Ravens to take care of the Steelers. Now I'm going to take the Ravens 27, Steelers 17. I just don't like where this is headed for Pittsburgh. And I think Baltimore is ascending while Pittsburgh is descending. Let me know what you think in the comments. Again, a lot of discussion this week of Mike Tomlin's future in Pittsburgh. It's understandable with where this team has been trending downwards through the course of this season, having a huge lead in the AFC North, and then this is the game where it comes down to. But it's trending towards another year where Pittsburgh might just limp into the playoffs or just miss the playoffs. But once the Steelers are in the playoffs, they get smoked once they're there. That's what we've seen the last several seasons now, and I think people are getting tired of it. I've never heard Renegade booed, whether it was Heinz Field or now Acrisure Stadium, and also the chance of fire Tomlin. I do think that's a little silly considering it's midseason and the team is still atop the division. But again, certainly you don't like where things are trending right now. And perhaps after 19 seasons, it's time to make a change to where that same voice grows old in a locker room when it comes to pro athletes versus the changeover that you can have at the collegiate level. And maybe some change would do Tomlin some good too. You hear the comparison a lot of Andy Reid leaving Philadelphia and going to Kansas City. Certainly, I think another franchise would love to have Mike Tomlin as its head coach. So whether it is time or not, I'm not exactly certain, but the question I also posed, and if I had to answer it, I'd probably say no, is would the Steelers win another playoff game with Mike Tomlin as their head coach? The way it stands right now, my answer would be no, if I had to answer yes or no to that question. But we'll see what happens when the Steelers and Ravens do battle in Week 14. These two teams will play again in the regular season finale as well. So the NFL's best rivalry for a reason. We'll see if it lives up to the bill yet again. My name is Mark Bergin. This has been another edition of the Arthur Moats Experience. I'll be back on Sunday reacting to Steelers and Ravens. Let me know what you think in the Inzer chat. I want to know what you think in terms of Mike Tomlin's future, what you make of the Steelers' moves today in bringing in Adam Thielen, releasing Darius Slay, and then just what the team could do to try to get this thing right. And then let me know what you think about TJ Watt as well, because certainly the Steelers are paying a premium for him. You want to see him as a one-hat player. You want to see him in a Steelers uniform throughout the duration of his career. At the same time, a franchise cannot pay for past performance. And right now, there's been a bit of a drop-off, if I'm just being totally truthful. Again, my name is Mark Bergin. This has been another edition of the Arthur Moats Experience. I will see you Sunday. Until then, take care, and so long, everybody.